The first thing I will do is to take the length of my blouse. So to mean the length of your blouse, mine is 19 inch, everything, okay? So I'm going to draw a straight line across. Do you get? And I'll also trim out the excess pattern I have there. Now that I'm done, I'm going to place my tape and I'll go down by my chest line and my bust point plus under bust. I'll repeat the same thing on the other side, then I'll roll out a straight line across like so. After that, I'll label as my chest line, bust point, under bust and waistline. I'm going to mark half of my shoulder measurement on the shoulder line, do the same thing on the chest line, and I'll connect the two dots just like this, and I'll label as shoulder line as well. I'll also come down by 1 inch for shoulder slope and 3.5 inch for my neck width, and I will connect from the neck width to the shoulder slope just this way. And I'm also going to make my armhole curve just like this. After that, next you want to do is to mark half of your nipple to nipple. Mine is 7 inch, half of it is 3.5. I'm going to connect a straight line from the bust point to the waistline, and on the waistline I'll subtract half inch on both sides. Then I'll connect from the bust point to the waistline like so. After this, the next thing you want to do is to include your body measurement. I marked quarter of my bust circumference plus 2 inch for seam allowance. On the waistline, I marked quarter of my waist circumference. I replaced the 1 inch for that intake and also 2 inch for seam allowance. If you don't want much allowance, you can add just 1 inch for the allowance. Okay, after connecting, next you want to do is to determine how deep you want the front neckline to be. So for me, I'm going to maintain my bust point. You can go down by 12 inch if you want, or 11 inch. So I'm going to connect from my neck width to the bust point like so, in a V shape. Just place your ruler in a slanted manner and connect to that point. On the under bust line, I came down by 1 inch on the side, so I'm going to connect from the deep V neckline I have there to that point. Okay, just curve it like so. So now I'm through with this. I'm going to come down from the bust point by 1.5 inch. This will serve as my bust dart, and I will connect like so. And I'm also going to shade this part, meaning that I will be cutting it out. Okay, so on the shoulder, you're going to measure what you have left and mark the midpoint. Connect from that point to your bust point just like this. So I will come back again on this V neckline. So I want to remove half an inch on the V shape, so to avoid gaping on my neckline. So from the shoulder I marked 4 inch, and I had to connect from there to the bust point. Exactly after the line, I came out by half an inch, so I'm going to connect from that point to that same line again. Okay, so doing that, you're going to avoid any form of keeping on the neckline. Okay, so for the back neck depth, I marked 2 inch and I made my round neckline because I will be using the same pattern to cut the front and back piece. You get? So I'm going to first cut the round neckline we have on the back. So this is vintage material. What I have here is not up to 1.5. Okay, so what I want to do now is to open it, and I'm going to fold into two. After that, I'll place my pattern. When place your pattern, ensure you leave 1 inch space on the center back, just like you see me did here. So after that, I'll go ahead and cut out every other thing. Okay, so the reason why I left this 1 inch space is because the back of this top has slit at the back. Okay, so for me, I am going to, my own slit will start 2 inch after the bust point line. Okay, so you can see I've gone ahead to make mark on that point, and I also slashed into two. You get? So after removing the pattern, I am going to subtract 1.5 inch from the bottom part. This is because the back also has a band. Okay, band with belt. So I'm going to just cut it out like so, and also notch the 1 inch just this way. You get? So I'm going to keep this aside, then I'll finish with the front pattern. So for the front pattern, I will slash one side of the dart and also slash through the bust dart. I'm going to cover the dart. Okay, you will cover the dart, use your sellotape or masking tape or your pin to secure that point in a place. So close up your dart like so, just like you see me did here. After that, you're going to cut the neckline, cut your V neckline like so, and also cut the curve you have there. Okay, so this curve you see me cutting here, you're also going to cut it out. So you cut it out so that the lower body will be separate. Do you get? So for the upper body, I am going to also cut from that point I marked half inch on the neckline. I will close up to half inch, then I'll use my sellotape to hold it in a place. So of course, after closing, you will have this excess on the neckline. Don't worry, just trim it out, okay? So from that leg, I'm going to slash from that point to the mid shoulder, and on the mid shoulder I will leave quarter of an inch space, okay? Then also close up your bust dart just like you see me did here. So I've already trimmed out the excess I have on the neckline, and have also closed the bust dart. So this is another fresh paper. I'll just place the upper part, that is the cup part. I'll place it on another fresh paper, then I'll secure with pin. So you're going to slash like so because we are using a slash and spread method. So the space I have there is 6.5 inch. After that, you trace it out like so, okay? And after tracing, you cut it out. So for the space, you can make yours 5 inch, you can also make yours 6 inch if you want. So for me, I left it at 6.5 inch, and after tracing the bottom part, I went ahead to cut it out. Okay, you trim out the excess pattern you have there, and I'll label here as main cup. You get? So after I was done with these guys, you can see what I have here. This is the lower body and this is the main cup, which is the upper body. So what I did next was to transfer them to the actual fabric. So I gave half inch space on the bottom part and on the upper part of the lower body. So I also cut out two of the lower body. I cut two pieces for the lower body. One will be for the lining and one will be for the actual fabric. I did the same thing on the cup. For the cup, I have four pieces. One will be for the lining, one will be for the main fabric. Okay, so for the cup, I have placed my fabric right sides facing each other, and I'm going to use half an inch to stitch the both neckline. Okay, after stitching with half inch on the both neckline, guys, you can see what I have here. I also run a gather stitch on the bottom part. Okay, so from the neckline, I'm going to mark 1 inch. Okay, you place your tape like so, mark 1 inch. The reason I mark this 1 inch is because there will be no gather on that part. Okay, so everything, after gathering everything, ensure you don't have any gathers on that side. Okay, just leave it plain, leave the 1 inch plain and gather on the other side. Do you get? So after doing this on both cup, you can see what I have. The next thing I want to do now is to bring the lower body, and I'll remove my pattern. So I'll keep the one that will serve, I'll keep the one that will serve as the lining, and I will note the midpoint using my chalk like so. So on that midpoint, I'm going to place one of the cup, okay, and ensure the cup and the lower body aligns very properly. Okay, ensure they aligns like so, then use a finesse to stitch it down. So you place the other cup like so and also do the same thing, stitch with half inch. Don't sew on top of each other, please. So you're going to stitch. When you stitch, you have it looking like this. So I've gone ahead to do that. This is what I have here after I was done, and this is the wrong side of the fabric. So the next you want to do now is to bring the lining part. This is the lining, so you're going to place it, place the lower body, that is the one that will serve as lining. You place it the right side facing the wrong side of the blouse, then go ahead and stitch with half inch. do the same thing on this other side. So after stitching, you will have it looking like this. Okay, so after stitching, guys, you can see what I have here. I have secured the rough part. You can't even see the rough part, so at this point you can choose any side you want as the right side. Do you get? The next thing I will do is to keep the front piece aside, then I'll work on the back piece. So for the back piece, I'm going to mark the 1 inch I added. I'll mark it just this way, and I'll stitch from the neckline to where I want the slit to start. Okay, at that point, so I've gone ahead to stitch. After stitching, this is what I have on the right side. So the next thing you want to do now is from the bottom part, you're going to fold into two, make a top stitch just at the tip, then you cross it to the other side, repeat the same thing on the other side. Okay, so once you are done with that, you're going to make gathers on the bottom part as well. Okay, so when making your gathers, ensure you have your quarter of waist measurement plus 2 inch allowance. Okay, so I fold the center back and you can see my slit. So the next thing we do is to gather this a little bit on the waistline. After gathering, make sure you have quarter of your waist measurement plus your seam allowance. Okay, so I did the same thing on this other part and I had to measure. Next thing I will do is to attach the band. My own is very short, so I'm going to be adding extra fabric. Okay, so the length of the band is 2 inch. Okay, then the quarter of your waist measurement is needed for the width. You get? So I'll place the band the right side facing each other like so, and I'll stitch with half inch. Do the same thing on the other side. So after stitching, guys, this was what I had. Can you see? So you can see where I joined extra piece to give me a long piece for the belt. I also did some mistakes on this band, but I will explain. So after stitching, you're going to turn your band the other side, then leave quarter of an inch on the band before joining on the waistline so you can stitch that edge together with the other side. Repeat the same thing here as well. So after stitching, I also made my top stitch, as you can see. So the mistake I did here was this excess belt I have on the side supposed to be at the center back, but I'll correct myself later. Okay, next thing I did again was to cut and sew the facing for the neckline. So after that, you can see what it looks like. Next thing we'll do again is to place the front and back piece together, right sides facing each other. Use the facing to cover the shoulder and sew. After joining the both shoulder, guys, you can see what I have here. So I will use this scissors to trim the excess, the little excess I have on the shoulder and on one side of the armhole. So next thing you will do is to secure the bottom part of the front piece. So how you will do this is to flip in all the blouse you have there, flip it in inside this bottom part. So once you flip it in, you have it looking like so. Go ahead and stitch with half inch. After stitching with half inch, you turn it the right side, then you will have it looking like this. Okay, next thing I want to do is to make sure the excess band or belt I have on both sides comes at the center back. You get? So I've gone ahead to do that. I loosed the both band, and after sewing, the belt is at the center, not at the side anymore. Okay, so the next thing you want to do now is to shape the both side of your blouse. Okay, so I'm going to arrange everything in place and I'll shape the both side. So I've gone ahead to shape the both side of my blouse. So after that, you can see what I have here. The next thing you want to do now is to cut the sleeve. Okay, so I'm going to cut the sleeve. I'll show you guys on how to do that. And for the blouse, you can see what we have here at the back. So I am going to measure the armhole of the blouse. I have 8 inch. And this is the sleeve length is 11 inch, okay. And for the wideness I have 8 inch, so I came down by 3.5 and I went ahead to connect my sleeve cuff, okay. So for this sleeve my fabric was not enough, okay, my fabric was not enough, so this sleeve we came out very small, unlike what we have in the picture inspiration. When making your own sleeve, ensure the fabric you have is at least times 2.5 of your round sleeve measurement. Okay, so you will have the fine sleeve you saw on the thumbnail. So to make the V curve, I came up by 2 inch on the center front of the sleeve. I came up by 2 inch and I went ahead to connect to the other side. So I'll just trim out the excess. Okay, do the same thing on your own sleeve. If you're a bigger size, you can also mark 2.5 and you slant it to the other side of the sleeve. Okay, I have only one piece here. I will place another fabric to cut the second sleeve. So I'll just do that. After cutting the second sleeve, I'll attach it to my dress or my blouse. You get. So after sewing, guys, this was what I had. So I've gone ahead to attach to the blouse, as you can see. And again, you can see my sleeve came out very small, okay, because my fabric was not enough. So if you're making this blouse, make use of 1.5 yard of any kind of fabric you want. So guys, we have actually come to the end of today's tutorial. Thank you so much for watching. Next thing I want to do is to put on this dress so you see how it looks on my body. Okay, so guys, this is how it came out. You can see how beautiful this look. So you got to tie it at the back and that will be all. Okay, so guys, thank you very much for watching. See you guys in my next one.